Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Miles Memories Weekly, episode 127. Miles Memory is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk about my painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 YouTube videos a week. How? Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, Games Workshop revealed the final price of the Space Marine Vanguard box, and the question of is it a deal has been answered, and it's not really. Also, JoyToy has come out with the most amazing and hilarious action figure that I've ever seen, and Games Workshop has got caught up in a little bit of controversy. But first, did you happen to notice this awesome graphic tee I've got on? It's called Astro Pump, and it's from today's sponsor, Into the AM. Into the AM makes premium apparel with a lot of great art and at a great price. Like the one I'm wearing, Lunar Harvest. This one's got great super poppy art. My mom is a big fan of it, and as the ultimate form of flattery, I already have paint on this shirt, so you know I absolutely love it. These bright, stunning arts are printed on soft polycotton fabric shirts and hoodies. Their hoodies are particularly nice. They're soft, they're warm, and they got these gray pockets on the side where you can really comfortably carry your stuff. It's not that front pouch pocket where it looks like you're giving birth to an iPhone. I'm a big fan of all of their arts. I would say they're stellar, because a lot of them are space themed. The artists and creators over at Into the AM are absolutely crushing it with new designs. I particularly have my eye on one called Saturn Returns, a super fun spacey themed shirt. If you want to give these premium made tees a try for yourself, you can use our link in the description below to get 10% off your order of t-shirts. First, let's get to the Space Marine Vanguard Task Force. It is back for the 4th time. I believe it has been released and then re-released and then re-released, and now it is once again being re-released. It is currently the only place that you can get a suppressor squad and a Phobos lieutenant. Although, really, you could use the Reaver lieutenant or just lieutenant captain in Phobos, or the captain in Phobos armor, because there's all the same thing. Hero Space Marines are just Space Marines who are wearing a little bit more decoration, so that's a very, very easy model to kit bash or convert. The suppressors only come in that box, and they've only ever come in that box. Back in the day when it was a really cheap box, I remember getting a bunch on eBay for just 20 bucks for a squad of 3. Really, really good deal. Hopefully Games Workshop will one day make a standalone kit with the suppressors, but right now it is this box, and I don't think it's a very good deal. This box is gonna be available from the Games Workshop web store only at $140. So web store only, no chance of getting a deal from a friendly local game store or a separate online retailer. And that is a deal, but it's definitely not a great deal. And not being able to get it for getting any money off because it's Games Workshop Direct is kind of a bummer. To buy all 4 of these kits that come in the Vanguard box separately from Games Workshop, it would come out to $215. But really it should be compared to buying all of these kits separately from a secondhand retailer where you can get that 50% off discount. And so that would come out to $182.75. So not really an amazing deal if you compare it that way. You could sort of think of it like you're getting the lieutenant for free. Do you really want that lieutenant in your army? I don't know, like a $30 discount really doesn't light a fire under me to pick up this box. It comes with some interesting units, and once again, it is the only way you can get suppressor squads. But I don't know if the suppressor squad is very good. It's a very interesting unit. The Suppressor Squad is a 3-man Space Marine squad that comes with the Accelerator Autocannon, pretty cool name, 48-inch range, 3 attacks, hitting on 4, strength 8, AP-1, damage 2, heavy. That really blows that it's ballistic skill 4 up heavy. It seems like typically heavy has been given out to units, but keeping them at the same ballistic skill you'd expect from a unit in that army. With Space Marines, you expect them to have a 3 up ballistic skill, that changes to 2 up. You get that with the Eliminator Squad. But with these guys, ballistic skill 4 up if they move. And these guys, their whole thing is that they deep strike in, so you're not getting it that turn 1. Maybe if they stay put turn 2, 3 for the rest of the game, maybe you can get those really nice 3-up accelerator shots, but that kind of stinks. They do get 3 attacks each, so that's a good number of attacks. It'd be really interesting to map these guys versus the Eliminators, because they fulfill a very similar role. The Eliminators, with their las fusils, actually get strength 9, but only 1 attack each at 3 up. 3 up heavy, so that's typically 2 up if they're holding still. It's a very tricky squad to math out. Are they gonna be worth it? One interesting rule that they have that really no other flying units have is smoke as their keyword, so they can take advantage of the smoke screen stratagem, giving the unit cover and stealth for a turn. pretty good. I don't know if it's worth it to burn a stratagem just so that they can try to be a little bit more survivable. And if you do put them way out in the danger zone, your enemy might still just decide to shoot at them anyway, even with all of those minuses to hit. And with only a 3-man squad of Space Marines with 2 wounds apiece, they're gonna drop pretty quickly. They're also gigantic models, so very easy to draw line of sight to. They're really kind of compared to the Inceptor squad. The Inceptor squad is also a deep striking 3-man Space Marine squad, 3 wounds apiece, and these guys are great. They have a special ability, Meteoric Descent, where they can drop in 3 inches away from an enemy, which means you can definitely get within line of sight of something that you really want to shoot at, and then they can dump tons of AP-1 damage to bolter shots or plasma shots into a squad. And then they will definitely die, but hopefully they will have done their job. Where the Suppressor squad is a little bit riskier. I feel like you might get more benefits out of a cheaper Eliminator squad. Now, the Suppressor squad also has a unique ability, Suppressing Fire. If they shoot at something, then that unit is then suppressed, and when that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. That is a really interesting inversion of the rule that we see on a lot of different units in 40k, where they can spot something, and then everything in your army is a little bit better at shooting that one spotted object. This is the opposite, where it's a negative debuff that you give to your opponent. And I feel like this could be really powerful on something like a knight or a really, really tough vehicle, like a Leman Russ, maybe even like a Corn Lord of Skulls or something wacky, just to make them -1 to hit. It's so hard to say. That could be a very, very strong ability, 48-inch range. It could make them worth taking, but I don't know if it synergizes as well with other things in your army as much as units that can spot things. And speaking of units that can spot things, that's another reason why I don't necessarily love the Vanguard box, because it comes with 10 Infiltrator Space Marines. Infiltrators are pretty darn good. They create, if you take them in 2 5-man squads, you can pretty much deny a lot of deep striking and reinforcement because they create 24 inches of bubbles of you can't deep strike, you can't infiltrate. But I actually kind of like the Incursors a little bit better. And you can't build the models that come in the Vanguard box into Incursors. You can only do that with the separate multi-part plastic kit. The Incursor squad has 2 pretty banging abilities. Multi-spectrum array. When this unit makes an attack, if that unit is hit by any of these shots, at the end of the phase, each time a friendly Adeptus Astartes, which is every single Space Marine unit that makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to the hit roll. Just instant. It's almost, if you combine that with Oath of Moment, you can really throw some crazy dice at one thing a turn. It's pretty awesome. Also, if the Incursion squad is attached to a Phobos Lieutenant, they also get Move, Shoot, Move. And I feel like a little bit expensive at like 150, 140 points, but you know, hopping out behind a building, targeting something, and then hopping back into cover, into complete safety is really, really powerful. And I feel like that would be a little bit more useful than the Suppressor squad. So overall, the new Space Marine Vanguard Task Force coming back to Games Workshop Web Store for 140 bones. If you really, really want every single unit that comes in that box, it is a discount. But if there's anything you're a little wishy-washy on, like I don't know if I really want infiltrators in my army, it's not really worth picking up. But you know what might be worth picking up? Just for the memes alone, one of the coolest, weirdest, funniest products I have seen in a very long time. JoyToy 1/18th scale Warhammer 40k Grey Knights Nemesis Dreadnought. This thing is an absolute behemoth of an action figure, standing at 16 inches tall, and one of the most beloved units in all of Warhammer 40,000, right? I have never heard anybody say anything negative about this miniature ever. That is not true at all. The Nemesis Dreadknight is an absolute meme. It's the baby carrier. It's kind of hilarious that the Grey Knight Terminator, one of the biggest types of Space Marines, is hanging off the front of it like a little baby in a papoose. It's a really, really weird looking model, which honestly actually looks kind of a lot better posed. Like this action figure is fully posable, and so you can get it in some more interesting action shots. The one that you can get from the Games Workshop Web Store is just standing. And actually it's literally like just standing. You can't really even make it aim its weapons or swing its sword. So definitely the JoyToy one has a leg up on that. But weirdly enough, this action figure comes in at $400 because it is absolutely fully loaded. The Gatling barrels rotate with a little battery-powered motor. It has hydraulic tubes with springs to offer power linkage. I don't know what power link is. It has springs in the hydraulics. And it is made of upgraded alloy, ABS and PVC plastic, and it has an alloy frame. The shoulders and the entire leg joint assembly is made of metal. Why? Like, it's an action figure. I would not have been like disappointed if it was all made of plastic. This thing has components made of metal. They went all out for this unit, and it makes me wonder, did none of them ever Google it or look it up on Reddit and to find out what people actually think of this guy? Because it is an absolute meme of a model. People typically don't really like it. There's dozens and dozens of 3D print kits and STLs that are made to fix this unit and make it look a little bit better. It would kind of be awesome to have this thing. I haven't been super tempted by a lot of the JoyToy figures. The Grey Knight, the regular Grey Knights were pretty darn cool, and a friend of mine actually pre-ordered the Iron Father Pharaohs, which is also a pretty dope action figure. This thing is enormous, 16 inches tall, and probably close to 16 inches wide, because this guy is a chonky boy. I don't know why they added all sorts of light up LEDs and motors and metal components. Like, if they could have sold it for cheaper and not had all that stuff, it probably would have been a better idea. But man, it would almost be worth it for the meme factor. It's just so crazy. It's just the weirdest thing. JoyToy has been making seemingly every single thing in Warhammer 40k into an action figure. The Nemesis Dreadknight is definitely my favorite, just for how funny it is. But please leave a comment what you think that they should make into a JoyToy action figure next. In terms of humor value, what would be the funniest thing possible that they could turn into an action figure? I think Gretchen. I think a little goblin, a little orc goblin would be really, really fun. And it would probably be a lot cheaper because they're literally tiny little fellas. Maybe a snotling. They're even smaller. The JoyToy Nemesis Dreadknight is pretty darn funny, but you know what isn't funny? It's maybe a little bit funny. Games Workshop has been caught in a little bit of controversy from some amazing sleuthing by Auspex Tactics, a lovely YouTube channel devoted to all things Warhammer 40k tactics. Games Workshop has surprised us all by actually allowing the comments on some of their more recent YouTube videos, which they historically never ever do. Comments are always disabled, but recently they've been allowing comments. But only certain types of comments, and that is the problem. Absolutely no negative comments of any kind have been allowed to remain under the more recent Warhammer TV YouTube videos. And I get why they do it, and they've been doing this on Instagram forever, but it's a little disingenuous. I do totally get why they're doing this. In my opinion, I do think that I think it's a good choice. I think it's a good choice to turn on the comments. I think it's a great way to engage with people. The super fans just always have a great time commenting underneath the video. But I do agree with them that it is going to be a disaster for a while. People who have not been able to say exactly what they want to say for the longest time, all of a sudden they have the freedom to say it. Well, not currently, but in theory, they have the freedom to say what they want. I do think it would be a disaster for a little while, maybe a couple of months. And then I do think it would just kind of get back to normal, where you have nice comments, mean comments, and then those comments that don't even seem to have anything to do with the video. Like somebody is commenting about another video they watched and they just don't happen to know what video they're on right now. Has anybody experienced this? There's always those weird YouTube comments, but I get why they're doing it, but I just think it's a little bit mean, or it's a little bit wrong. The YouTube comments are supposed to be the Wild West. It is supposed to be kind of a disaster down there. And that's the fun, that's the engagement, that's actually what makes them interesting. If every single comment is just nice, it feels very disingenuous because there are mean comments that are not being allowed to be viewed. And I think it's a little bit bad because a lot of people are commenting and then leaving, and they don't return to the video to check if their comment's still up. And so there's tons of people who think they've left a comment that they want to leave on the video, but it's just not there. It got deleted, it got covered up. So, a little bit icky. I get why Games Workshop's doing this, I don't think that because I think this is kind of a known issue now, so I don't think that this is going to save them from that awkward phase of every single person who's wanted to comment on a Games Workshop video now going to the most recent one and commenting exactly what they want to say about everything they think of the Games Workshop company. But I do think that that would pass, and then it would just get to a normal spread of comments, just like we see on every other YouTube channel across the platform. Also, think of the poor Games Workshop YouTube comment moderator. That person is taking a lot of grenades right now. Their most recent video showing off the new Pariah Nexus animated show, it has 500 comments. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually had 1,500 comments, but 1,000 of those comments were negative and had to be removed. So I could see the person who has that job right now just kind of having a bummer of a time going through everything. And so Games Workshop, don't do it. Just let the comments fly. It'll be fine. The meanest commenters are still buying Games Workshop kits. You know they are. It's not changing a thing. I think it would all be okay just to let it be the free-for-all that it should be, because the internet should be chaos. It's what it's always been, and it's what it's gonna be. But you know what isn't chaos? That's right, our Patreon. Over there, we have a brand new STL terrain set every single month, and this month we have the Corpse Starch Factory, an entire industrial terrain board dedicated to manufacturing food for people, from people. We also make one extra episode of Eons of Battle every single week where you take a look at our viewers' miniatures and gives them ideas and critiques of how to improve their painting, and we have a tier where you can get your name on one of my Black Templar Space Marines and you can join the Crusade. And speaking of joining the Crusade, I played a couple more games of Warhammer 40k this weekend with my Black Templar, and I got absolutely stomped in both games. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just can't seem to get my mind around Warhammer 40k, so I'm just not gonna talk about my games until something interesting happens, until I win. And hopefully that'll be sometime this year. Thanks for watching.